January 27th, 2021, I made a change. I quit my day job in a pandemic. Chaotic, I know, but let me explain. So I've been working since I was 15, shout out Spirit Halloween. I've done my rounds in retail as a teen, and while in school, I landed a few design jobs. I've been an in-house designer for the most part, and that is code for basically work the job of an entire design team. And I've gone through the highs and lows of being a creative in a short period of time. So here's what I learned from quitting my job at 25. Something that's always led a lot of my decisions has been fear. I recently heard the quote, "Don't let fear be your leader." And let me tell you, I felt that. Financial instability has always been something that's been on my mind. Since I dropped out of business school to pursue art and design, I realized I had to make it work. Like there was no other option. And I was kind of always working in fear, even though I was pursuing a path that was less conventional. I still got that 9 to 5. I got a job straight out of university, and I took the job not because it was a place where I necessarily was super passionate about, not that I didn't have moments of that, but I kind of went there because I was like, okay, now I have a job and I can work towards paying off my student loans. And it was a combination of things. It was the fear of being financially unstable, the fear of what my family would think if I didn't have a job straight out of school. It was the fear of just being a failure and not getting a career in the field that I studied. And although a lot of these fears were valid in the circumstances I was in, I realized after I achieved one of my milestone goals that I had set straight out of school, which was to pay off my student loans, I realized at 23 that goal was oh my god, unfathomable. But once I worked toward that and achieved it, I realized my goal had already shifted to a new goal. So I realized this thing that I'm doing is a moving target. What is the point of doing the same thing? Because if you're doing the same thing and expecting different results, that's the definition of insanity. And now I realize many of us have had some form of fear ingrained in us. If your parents immigrated here, you've probably seen firsthand the length our parents go to provide for us. And though our parents have the best intentions with career advice, sometimes fear can be embedded in the ways they try to help. Our parents want us to be stable and happy. So when they encourage you to stay in a job you don't like or a program that's not right, it's out of concern and love. They just want to give us the best chance, the chance they didn't get. But no matter how you flip it, it's up to us as individuals to navigate what's actually right for us. What I realized by quitting is fear means taking risks. It means giving yourself permission to fail. And when you slowly move your perspective from living in fear and just the fear of instability to opening up to the possibility of what could be, you really start to see the full picture and the abundance around you. So I think every creative can relate to the phrase undervalued and overworked. And throughout my time working as a freelancer and in-house designer, I thought this was just the default state of being a creative. You're expected to create these incredible things, deliver on deadlines, pick up new skills, juggle multiple projects simultaneously. And then when your rates go up or you ask for a raise, you're met with blank stares. For me, a lot of imposter syndrome came into play with this. I always had a justification for being undervalued. I was either too young or too early in my career, or I'll grow with the company. And this, on top of being a young woman of color, female designer in male-dominated spaces, just reinforced what I felt. Honestly, I used to think I didn't have a voice in these tough conversations when they came around. But reflecting now, I think I actually allowed most of that undervaluing to happen. I worked on turbo mode and delivered every time and expected someone to recognize me for my abilities. But in retrospect, I should have either asked for my value from the beginning or managed expectations of what I could offer as a designer. You know, when you have a party or a friend over and it's really late and you just want to call it a night and you're trying to show all the signs, but they're just not getting it? Yeah, I think that was me. You know, when you stop growing, you're not feeling heard, you don't see any changes happening in your environment. You can't just stay there and expect for the circumstance around you to change. You have to change that. I had stopped growing about like a year and a half in, and there wasn't much that was enriching to me as like a designer. And I definitely started feeling really stuck and honestly like bitter and negative. I realize now it's really important to know when to quit. And you know, just trusting that gut feeling when you initially have it and just really like consider it on a deeper level. And I think regardless of how you personally feel, you should always leave on positive terms because you never know what those relationships can foster in the future. And eventually, when I had the courage to quit, I actually had a very positive experience and talk, and I almost felt like supported to move forward into my next kind of journey. Once I quit, I felt grateful and happy to wrap up the job. And when one of my coworkers reached out to tell me how much I had impacted the brand, I felt really like content and positive about how this part of my career was ending. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with is that it's okay to take a break, even in a pandemic. For me, like taking a break sometimes can be overwhelming because I get like a sense of FOMO or like I'm regressing as like a creative person. But I think those breaks are important to maintain that like creative pursuit long term, because this is not for just like your 20s. This is like something you want to pursue for a long period of time. So you need to set yourself up to be able to do that. And that happens with all the things I mentioned. That helps support you on a long-term basis, not just like a short-term basis. Now, I want to close by saying I don't think there's anything wrong with working a 9 to 5, and I hope it didn't come across like that. I feel like people have demonized the 9 to 5 for some reason. I'm not sure why, but honestly, I got so much from my past jobs. Like, on top of regular pay, I grew as a designer. I learned so much and gained experience I could never have achieved on my own. So, this video is not meant to inspire you to quit your job, but simply to share my reflections from my experience. I hope, if anything, you can apply these things to your own situation and better it. Growth is not linear. I'm only 25 and taking a calculated risk that may not work. But it's part of my story, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you've learned from your experiences working as a creative or in any other job.